month on STIP, and I'm sure these are some of the ideas that will be leading as Kenya. The other question by Mheshimiwa George Murungaru, on, I think there are a number of issues that he mentioned, some comments. It is true we went together to Tharaka. We actually flew together to Kithiori. We saw the iron ore, and there are many things. I want to assure you, Mheshimiwa, there's an investor who is now coming into that area. That's part of the handing over I will do, but also because I'm in investment, we will work with my colleague because he's going to be putting up a value addition point in that area and immediately employ between 500 to 1,000 Kenyans in that area. So that's about the mining. The issue of raw materials, Mr. Speaker, I want to commit that we are working with our colleagues in agriculture. We will work with our colleagues in agriculture to revive the raw material crops that can support local manufacturing. And one of these is cotton. Already within the ministry there are projects, Ginary. The Ministry of Agriculture is already providing cotton seeds in parts of the country. Mapping has been done. Engagement with county governments has already been done. And I commit to continue this conversation so that we can have raw materials for our local industries, but also for the EPZ and for export. Part of these raw materials also means sunflower, because the importation of edible oil is taking a lot of our budget, and it is the desire that we inspire local manufacturing so that edible oil can be value added here in the country, and instead of importing, we can also export to other places in Africa. I hope.
Shuria, yes, you have done all of them. Shuria.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mheshimiwa Mvuria, the Trade Ministry, in collaboration with county governments, has been and continues to implement the county aggregation and industrial parks. In your opinion, do you think there has been enough publicity and stakeholder engagements, and what strategies or approaches will you adopt to forestall these projects turning into white elephants? Thank you.
Thank you, Mishi.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, before I ask my one question, I just want to put a rider on what our nominee has just said, and because it affects my constituency, and this is about the special economic zone, you need to know that there is what we call Dongokundu Special Economic Zone, which is situated in Likoni constituency, where I represent. And I just wanted our nominee just to give some clarity on how many foreign investors so far have expressed their interest vis-a-vis the local investors. And if it is true that local investors have been denied to be given land for investment, I just want him to answer this so that he gives clarity to Kenyans. And my question, Honorable Chairman, it is on the...
That a rider or a...
That is a rider because there's already talked about special economic zone, Chairman. But he didn't mention about Dongokundu Special Economic Zone. That is why I had put that rider. Honorable Chairman, my question, it is on the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, which was talking about establishment of leather industry clusters, which was to be in Athi River, Narok, Isiolo, and Wajir. I just want to ask our nominee, what specific strategies are you going to employ to ensure that Kenya Kwanza government will realize this agenda? And on the same breath, what policy intervention are you going to employ to help reverse the current unfortunate trend of closure of industries? And also coming up with new industries like coconut, cashew nut, and Bixa, which is grown in where you come, Kwale County. I thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Mukami. Honorable Mukami.
Honorable Speaker, my question is considering the legal challenges to the Finance Act 2023, and the significant role of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, in Kenya economy. What steps will you take to ensure that new tax regulations are fair and supportive of SME growth, while also addressing the broader goals of economic stability and trade enhancement? Thank you.
Caleb.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Our nominee, you must have looked at the developmental states and how their path to development was based on, especially the ones that took the route of trade surplus, that is the advantage of the exports over the imports. Some they call it mercantilism, where you put more rules and the standards to make sure that the exports surpasses the imports to develop your nation. It has proven in many, especially the South Asian countries of Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan. This one requires a regime, a set of rules and principles to guide it. The general agreements on tariffs and trade is one of the regimes. Of course, it has transformed now to the World Trade Organizations to encompass the service industries and the intellectual properties. But where does it put the Kenya, the global south? Do we find it fair? Are we guided by fair regimes at the World Trade Organizations that enable us to have this mercantilism advantage to us, the trade surplus, as a factor of development? You, as a new coming minister, if you are approved, which regimes and how will you maneuver through these international organizations that are always unfair to the global south? But and the last week I had to raise as a point of order, but I knew I'm going to speak. The question of Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah was very pertinent, Mr. Speaker, because I'm also aware a lot of money has been put to survey by the NIS. But most importantly, Speaker, is that most of the nominees we vet here, they have a lot of promise on what they are going to do. Once they get to the office, they say there's no money for implementation. But we need them to tell us, is there even a paper you wrote requesting for funding that if this one is provided for, then this one will be actioned upon?
Nominee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. I want to begin from Mheshimiwa Caleb. I think I want to be very clear on the issue of mapping of minerals. As I said earlier, this process was done. You know, the resources that were allocated for that activity, it was okay, it was done. Identified 970 mineral occurrences. Then the process of ground truthing began also with the budget that we had. And now 24 counties have been concluded and it will continue. I want to be understood that on matters mining and all other areas that have been put before, these are areas that you need to do initial investment before you reap the benefits. I think that is the...
I've said that 3 times.
I have said it 3 times, but now Mheshimiwa brought it back. That's why I'm saying it again.
May allow me to save time.
So it is not an issue of...
The question was just clear. If there is any evidence of you requesting maybe the treasury that if we have this funding towards this project, then we're able to discover our minerals. Just that.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't complain. I was giving you the concept of investing and reaping. However, all that I committed in the first vetting, I was able to do. So on that one, I can pen off on that one. The other issue about World Trade Organization, and engagement with Kenya government. The World Trade Organization, in my understanding, is an organization which gives broad policy framework for countries. However, when now you want to do specifics, you do negotiations specific to the area that you would like to have advantage. And therefore, I want to confirm that upon approved by this House, I will engage World Trade Organizations at the global framework level and also provide leadership on now specific negotiations. For example, if you are doing negotiations with a certain region, then that is a specific discussion. However, the general framework has to be within the World Trade Organization framework. So the World Trade Organization may not necessarily be a hindrance, but when it comes now to the specific discussions, that is where negotiators and governments have to be very careful to ensure that their national interest is upheld. And on the matters of tariffs and many others, I want to give an example. You know, last year, just one statement imposing levy on clinker has been able to bring a lot of investments in clinkerization in our country. So the tariffs are being employed by government selectively and deliberately to address a particular policy implication. And I'm sure these matters of tariffs and taxes, the ministry will not just conclude. The House of Parliament will be very critical in having discussions on the kind of levies and tariffs that will apply for certain agreements, for certain products, and for certain negotiations. So I think I want to commit, Mr. Speaker, that the ministry, upon approval, will not make these decisions in isolation. We have National Treasury, we have the National Assembly, and the matters of tariffs will be for all of us. The other question that Mheshimiwa Shurie had asked, whether the kipes will be white elephants. I want to confirm to you, Mheshimiwa, and this House, and Mr. Speaker, that the kipes will not be white elephants, because if you look at all the counties, they are addressing a particular value chain. And that value chain is so dear to those counties that we cannot afford to drop the ball. So I will use all my skills to ensure that we properly engage. I will use my skills to ensure that we get the right business model strategically to ensure that the kipes do not become white elephants. The other question by Mheshimiwa Amisi on Dongo Kundu. And I want to say that I have not skipped Dongo Kundu, Mheshimiwa. It's a very, very important project for Kenya. And it covers Kwale County and Mombasa County. The current situation with Dongo Kundu is that we are now moving on with the implementation of infrastructure. JICA has come in to support the government of Kenya, and also KPA is providing leadership in this project. We have 1,648 project affected persons who will be compensated. There's 384 acres of land in this area. They will be resettled and properly compensated before the project begins. Currently, there are 72 investors who have expressed interest. Unfortunately, I have not been able to dichotomize whether local or foreign. But I'm sure going forward, we will have a chance to classify them, and then we will see who is foreign, who is local. But the commitment I want to say, Mr. Speaker, is that we will ensure that there's fairness in the allocation of land in Dongo Kundu. On matters leather, it is a very critical value chain in the Kenya Kwanza plan. It is also a critical value chain in MTP4 because Kenya has abundance of leather, and we actually have a target to, get income from leather to the tune of 120 billion every year. What is happening, Mr. Speaker, is that right now we will be working on the value chains, and upon approval, there's already Kenani in Athi River, which has been identified, as part of the leather industry that is going to host the value chain there. And therefore, we are on schedule. We know there's Isiolo and many other counties that will participate, and we will work, I will provide leadership to ensure that we work with everybody and all counties involved to revive the leather industry in our country. That also goes for other value chains. I think Mheshimiwa also raised the issues of cashew nuts. And already with Kirdi, we will provide leadership with Kirdi. There's an open area in Malindi, which is earmarked for cashew nut value addition. So we'll be working with government agencies and also the private sector to ensure that we get value addition investments in these crops. And part of what we're already doing is that on coconut, we have an investor, Kentest, where they are also doing value addition for the products within coconut. So this is a trajectory that I commit to continue to ensure that we capture all the value chains that are going to be useful to the economy of our country. Mheshimiwa Mukami, on the issues of finance bill, I think both the 2023 and the 2024, it's not all lost. There are good things there, and I commit to keep the good things, to engage widely to ensure that those that will be supporting the micro and small enterprises are also brought forward to support Kenyans.
Nominee, a few questions sent in by members of the public. So one, he must be probably from your county. Wish you Allah's blessing. What will you do if approved to invest in digital technology, especially in agribusiness? Another one, why is titanium shutting doors under your watch with the locals losing jobs? You have taken away mining of titanium from Australians and handed to Americans. Why?
Chairman, can I add one?
Let me finish, then you add.
Okay.
Another one, what specific trade and investment policy proposals would you suggest to create jobs and unlock new economic opportunities for ordinary Kenyans, particularly the youth? Kenya has, the next one, Kenya has a vibrant startup ecosystem, but many young entrepreneurs face challenges in accessing funding and support. How will you foster a more supportive environment for startups? And what measures will you introduce to attract investment in tech and innovation? Next, with the rising cost of living, affordability is a major concern for many households. What measures would you recommend to reduce the prices of essential goods and services? And how will you make it easier for local businesses to provide affordable products to the public? The next, small businesses are the backbone of our economy, yet they often struggle with challenges like access to finance and markets. What specific strategies would you propose to support small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, and make it easier for them to thrive. The next, with the rapid growth of the digital economy, many Kenyans are looking for ways to leverage technology for businesses and personal growth. What proposals would you recommend to support digital entrepreneurs and ensure that all Kenyans have access to the benefits of e-commerce and digital trade? The last is Kenyans are proud of locally made products and want to see more made in Kenya goods in the market. What initiatives will you pursue to support local manufacturing and encourage the production of high-quality Kenyan products? Those are some of the questions from wananchi who are watching these proceedings that I have sent us to ask you.
Honorable Speaker, can I ask mine?
Yes, yours or Kenyans?
Kenyan.
Yes.
We wanted to train on beans, githeri, dengu, lentils, and bazi. But from the letter, it says it will cost us 120,000 for every product. That is killed. That means per product, per formulation. How are we going to afford that? And yet, we are urging our young Kenyans to start small businesses. Thank you.
Razo?
Thank you, Speaker. What emerging markets hold the greatest potential for Kenyan exports, and what support is available to help businesses penetrate these markets?
Mr. Speaker, one more.
Yes, Caleb?
How will the nominee for trade ensure there is balance between the government's appetite for tax and enable environment for investors in the country? This is because reduced taxes is one way of enhancing an enabling environment for trade and wooing investors, ensure predictable tax regime.
Okay, go ahead, Salim. Those are Kenyans who are watching you perform here, sending in their questions. Some of them you have been touching on them along the way, but you can answer those that are fresh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank all the Kenyans who are actively watching this vetting, and also for their questions that they have raised to ensure that they get responses. The first issue of digital technology. Digital technology, there's a commitment to have a concert technopolis, to provide that opportunity on technology, and I'm sure young people will be beneficiaries of this. What I want to commit to this Kenyan who has asked this question is that I'll be part of this program to ensure that young people benefit from this program. The second issue about titanium and closing. I want to make it very clear to all Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, that the closure of base titanium has no relationship with me, the ministry, or the government. The closure of base titanium is related to the depletion of resources. Last year in October 2023, they wrote a letter.
Financial resources or mineral resources? Mineral
resources. Last year in October, they wrote a letter to the ministry